Welcome to this edition of the Huntsville Insider. I'm Keith Ward. In part one of our segment, Deal or No Deal, the story followed how Huntsville City Schools sold their historic administration building, the Annie Mertz Center. As we investigated this story, it raised many questions. How did the school system sell this property? What was the cost to relocate all of the departments in the Mertz building? How can a law firm represent both the school board and the purchaser of the Mertz property? And how does a construction phase management company get a contract to market and sell the Mertz property? Here's what we found out in part two of Deal or No Deal. At a special called school board meeting on November 29, 2021, the chief school financial officer reveals that TCU Consulting was hired to handle the sale of Mertz.
So we contracted with TCU Consulting to kind of lead the effort to entertain proposals from interested developers. TCU took the initiative and showed Mertz building to several interested developers, collected firm offers from them to bring to us to consider.
An initial search through the school board agendas between November 2019 through November 2021 found no contract for TCU or any agency related for the marketing and sale of the Mertz facility. TCU had various contracts with Huntsville City Schools dating back to 2012, and it was standard practice to have each contract item listed as an agenda item for the school board. In fact, a search through the entire agenda archive found contracts with TCU listed on the Huntsville Board of Education agendas for February 2012, September 2012, September 2016, November 2017, September 2022, and September 2023. Performing a document search within the agendas found nothing for TCU between October 2018 through February 2022. But after digging deeper and manually looking through every attachment and support document, TCU Consulting was an item hidden in the Professional Services Agreement report for the February 9, 2021 board meeting.
First item on the agenda, the superintendent recommends approval of the amended Professional Services Agreement report. Board members, if you remember, we removed item 1. Do I have a motion to accept?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Matthews and a second from Ms. Wilder. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The
No.
Chair votes aye. The motion passes.
The TCU agreement merely states that it is for the facilities planning and consulting as needed, with a total amount not to exceed $150,000 without board approval. A search through the Huntsville City Schools check registry finds that from September 2021 through March of 2022, TCU was paid over $70,000 for other professional services. TCU does not reference real estate as one of its services on their website. By contrast, in 2010, when Huntsville City Schools was looking to sell 4 empty school buildings, the district contracted with Bill Pool Realty for those services. Now for the second question, where did all of the departments in Mertz go? During the November 29, 2021 board meeting, it was stated that almost all of the departments had been moved out and the few remaining ones would be moved out soon.
So right now, the only departments of the district that are operating out of Mertz are the Human Resource, Talent Management, and Finance. In fact, Human Resource and Talent Management are in the process of moving now if they've not already completed that, but Finance is soon to move.
The superintendent's administrative staff and department heads, along with the child nutrition and finance departments, were relocated to the Bob Wallace Annex Complex next to Huntsville High. This facility actually served as the office of the superintendent and school board through the late 1980s, until all the offices were relocated to the renovated Annie C. Mertz Center. The superintendent had renovations done to the annex at a cost of at least $1.5 million. There were also 4 leased portable buildings added to the complex to house some of the departments, adding a cost of over $62,000 per year. But there were more expenses added to the move due to an unexpected sewage problem due to the increased staff now located at the Bob Wallace facility.
The superintendent recommends that the board ratify and approve the attached declaration of emergency regarding the annex sewer system, which is an issue affecting public health, safety, convenience, and moreover consistent with board policies. Authorize the superintendent to enter into any agreement necessary to meet this emergency without seeking additional board approval.
So what caused this emergency is we have a 60-year-old sewer system, which is cast iron, and it's done gave out. You know, after we closed Mertz and we moved all those people over there, we got more pressure on the system. So we've caused a lot of backups, and we're having to pump it 3 times a week. And this emergency allows us to do a quick bid, get a contractor in here, and try to get this done before school starts. We got to replace all 500 feet of sewer line.
Other departments, such as counseling services, human resources, behavioral learning, career tech, and special education were relocated to the renovated classroom space at Chapman School. At the Academy for Science and Foreign Language campus on Maston Lake, the district moved the Assessment and Accountability Department along with federal programs. How much was spent on renovations at those school buildings to house these and other departments, along with the moving cost, is hard to determine, since those amounts would be absorbed under the Operations Department. But one thing is certain, a huge amount of the $2.9 million received from the sale of Mertz would have been used up in the remodeling and moving costs for the superintendent's staff and departments. For the third question, how does the law firm that represents the school board also represent the company that is purchasing Mertz? The answer is found back in the supporting documents of the December 7th, 2021 meeting.
Item B, the superintendent recommends the approval of sale of Annie Mertz Center.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Renard and a second by, where'd they come from?
Me.
Ms. Farrell. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Chair votes aye. Motion passes.
In a brief vote, the board voted to accept the offer of $3.4 million from Cass Holdings, a limited liability company that was set up by Crunkleton by an attorney with the law firm of Lanier Ford. Found within the attachments of the sale of Mertz is a letter of conflict from Lanier Ford, stating that the law firm has both the buyer and the seller as clients. The letter asks that the Board of Education and Crunkleton each consider the foregoing and consult independent legal counsel if necessary. But if they consent to allowing representation from the law firm in this transaction, that each sign the letter. There was no discussion or vote by the board during this meeting about that letter of conflict. And for the last question, how did a developer offer $3.4 million for the Mertz property and later negotiate a price down to $2.9 million and end up selling everything off for $8.2 million?
All right, agenda item number 4 is 200 White Street. The applicant is Turner McLemore for Wesley Crunkleton Associates.
In February 2022, Wesley Crunkleton, the developer, appeared before the Huntsville Historic Preservation Commission.
The applicant's request is to demolish the east and west wings, the gymnasium/auditorium, and a data building on the southeast side. They are requesting final approval to return the Annie C. Mertz Center to its 1928 appearance by demolishing the following 1950s, 1960s additions. Here we have a site plan. Everything in orange is what will remain.
But during a follow-up meeting of the matter, at a March 2022 meeting, it was revealed that the gym and auditorium were not additions, but actually a part of the original 1927 building.
The next 2 slides are information that was provided by a Old Town resident, and we wanted to make sure we're more clear about what was presented at last month's meeting. Gymnasium and auditorium sections of the building were described as being built in the 1950s, and that was inaccurate. Per this map that we have from 1927, at the dedication of Huntsville High School, we can see that those sections are original to the structure.
Commission member Dennis Manston stated that in the spirit of compromise, that the commission allowed the demolition of the gym and auditorium in exchange for not allowing any buildable housing lots on the north side of Mertz in order to preserve the original look of the front of the building. Crunkleton said if the motion was approved, he may have to go back to the drawing board to see if the project is still feasible.
There's a lot of risk involved, and there are not a lot of dollars. This is not a big, high profit deal here at all. And these lots were used to help subsidize the rest of the project. So I respect everybody's opinion and what they say and how they want to go about the process, but every lot that is peeled away, that does change the pro forma, and that just means that Mr. Upchurch gets a call on next day. Because you can only pay so much knowing that you can only get so what back in return. So,
because of that limitation by the Huntsville Historical Preservation Commission, Crunkleton went back to the school district and TCU to renegotiate the price. By July 26, 2022, a new amendment to purchase the Mertz Center was brought before the school board with a reduction of $500,000 for a deal now valued at $2,916,500.
In the course of the developer seeking approval, they learned that they were not going to be able to sell as many lots as they intended to sell, and that was going to affect their financial projections. So they negotiated with the board's agent, TCU, that has been working to handle this process the entire way, and negotiated on a reduction in the proposed sale price. That reduction was $500,000.
But during the discussion of this amended contract, school board member Michelle Watkins asked about the appraisal price for the Mertz property.
Board members, any questions, comments?
What was the appraisal price?
I actually not sure what the answer to that, because we have not been involved in on the legal team have not been involved in the development side, so I'm not sure what the appraised price was. But I was trying to reach out while we were
I'd like
talking.
to know before we get to the vote.
I may need to step out and make a quick call before we get to that point.
Thank you.
After returning from a break, school board attorney Chris Pate had to admit that no appraisal had been done on the Mertz building.
So I called some of the points of contact from TCU. I can tell you there was not a recent appraisal done for this process. So I'm not going to have an appraisal I'll be able to send you. In terms of the board's obligation, they are supposed to consider, you're supposed to consider the information. You're supposed to be able to look at it. The board establishes what fair market value is. And, from our perspective in representing other districts and things, you can look at a variety of different metrics when you're looking at fair market value.
The motion for the new reduced purchase price of Mertz is approved with 3 votes. This time, the deal is between the City Board of Education and Mertz Preservation LLC, a new limited liability company registered under Wesley Crunkleton that was formed in June of 2022. By 2023, Crunkleton is able to sell all of the existing property, including the parking area as single-family home lots, and tear down the sections approved for the demolition of the Mertz building in preparation for converting that main section to condos for downtown. In August of 2023, Crunkleton, under his limited liability company, Mertz Preservation LLC, sold the building for $2.1 million to Mertz Condo LLC, registered to John McCurdy, an Oxford, Mississippi company that runs MR Construction. It's interesting to note that Mertz Condo LLC was set up in Mississippi in September of 2022. In an AL.com article, Wesley Crunkleton stated that he's a partner with the Mississippi company. He explained that Mertz Preservation's LLC purpose was to oversee the demolition project and to divide and sell single-family home lots. Crunkleton further stated that his partnership with Mertz Condo LLC is because, quote, they specialize in condos, unquote. Crunkleton also told AL.com that he incurred a cost of $1 million for the demolition. Adding the sale of the Mertz building itself to the sale of single-family home lots brought all of the deals to a total of $8,245,000. In summary, virtually all actions that can be taken by a school board come in the form of a recommendation by the superintendent. The deal to sell the Annie Mertz building involved the following superintendent recommendations: a contract to purchase a church in the Blossomwood neighborhood to become the new administration building. 1 month later, After neighbors complained about a lack of transparency, the district sold the contract to another buyer. The city of Huntsville then donates land for the district to build a new administration building at the corner of Max Luther and North Memorial Parkway. Out of the public spotlight, the district hires a construction phase management company, TCU, instead of a real estate company to sell the Mertz property. 8 months later, the public learns of a $3.4 million deal for the property. Several months after that, the price was renegotiated down to $2.9 million. The school district never got an appraisal on the property before the sale. The developer brought in a total of over $8.2 million from the division and sale of the Mertz land and the building. The cost to renovate existing facilities and move the school district administration from Mertz was well over $1.5 million. And finally, the cost for a new administration building that will also house a career tech center next to it, over $43 million. So who got the best deal? That's up for you to decide. For the Huntsville Insider, I'm Keith Ward.